in the quiet rolling hills of Natal Province, South Africa. The year is 1906. At a small mission school, life for the local girls is a simple routine of prayer, study, and chores. It's a place of discipline and faith, meant to be a sanctuary from the outside world. Among the students is a quiet, unassuming teenage girl named Clara Germana Cele. Friends described her as unremarkable, perhaps a little shy, but otherwise a normal, obedient student. No one could have predicted that her name would soon become whispered in fear throughout the entire region, linked to a terrifying and inexplicable ordeal. The first signs were subtle, easily dismissed. Clara began experiencing strange fits, her body contorting in ways that alarmed her classmates. Teachers initially suspected epilepsy or perhaps hysteria, common diagnoses for young women at the time. But her seizures were different. They were accompanied by a chilling change in her personality. The quiet girl would suddenly lash out with unnatural strength, her voice dropping to a guttural growl. Speaking languages she had never been taught, she spoke fluent German, Polish, and French, languages completely foreign to her rural Zulu upbringing. Eyewitnesses, including her own teachers, reported that she seemed to understand conversations happening in distant rooms, revealing secrets she had no earthly way of knowing. Fear began to grip the mission. Students refused to sleep in the same dormitory, terrified of the nightly disturbances. Teachers would find Clara levitating in her sleep, her body hovering several feet above her bed in the darkness. During her violent episodes, it would take 4 or 5 grown men to restrain her frail body. She developed an extreme aversion to religious symbols. The sight of a crucifix or the sound of a prayer would send her into a violent rage. Her eyes filled with a hatred that was not her own. Doctors were brought in, but they were baffled. They had no medical explanation for her superhuman strength, her knowledge of foreign languages, or her apparent ability to levitate. They could offer no cure, no treatment. The medical community was stumped, and the school was left in a state of quiet terror. The mission priests, men of deep faith, became convinced they were not dealing with a medical condition. They saw the signs described in ancient texts, the classic markers of demonic possession. Desperate, they sought permission from the bishop to perform an exorcism, a rite that hadn't been officially sanctioned in the region for decades. The local community was torn. Some believed it was a spiritual battle for a young girl's soul, while others feared it was a descent into superstition, a rejection of modern medicine. But as Clara's condition worsened, her body withering away as she refused to eat, the priests felt they had no other choice. The exorcism was an ordeal that lasted 2 days. 2 priests led the rite, joined by nearly 200 witnesses, including teachers, students, and local villagers. Accounts from those present paint a harrowing picture. As the prayers began, Clara's body thrashed violently. She let out inhuman screams that echoed through the mission grounds. Witnesses claimed a foul, suffocating odor filled the room, a stench of decay that seemed to emanate from the girl herself. She hurled insults at the priests in multiple languages, her voice shifting and changing, sometimes sounding like a chorus of different people speaking at once. According to the official church report, she was physically thrown around the room by an unseen force, her limbs twisting at impossible angles. The priests were relentless, continuing their prayers and commands in the name of God. At one point, they reported a chilling moment of clarity. The entity, allegedly speaking through Clara, identified itself, claiming to be a fallen angel, a prince of darkness. The struggle for her soul reached a terrifying climax. The priests commanded the spirit to reveal how it entered her. Through Clara's lips, the voice confessed that she had made a pact with Satan when she was just a child. Whether this was true or a delusion born of her affliction, it only strengthened the priest's resolve. They intensified their prayers, their voices rising over the girl's screams. Then, as suddenly as it had all begun, it was over. On the second day of the exorcism, Clara's body went limp. A final, agonizing scream tore from her throat, and she collapsed, unconscious. When she awoke, she was calm. The guttural voice was gone, replaced by her own soft, frightened whisper. She asked for the sisters, her eyes clear and lucid for the first time in months. She had no memory of the preceding events, no recollection of the terror she had inflicted or endured. Her physical ailments vanished. The aversion to religious objects was replaced by a renewed sense of faith. The priests declared the exorcism a success. The demon had been expelled. In the aftermath, Clara Germana Cele was transformed. She lived the rest of her life as a devout Christian, dedicating herself to her faith. She never again experienced the seizures, the rages, or the terrifying phenomena that had plagued her. She lived a quiet, unremarkable life until her death years later. So what truly happened at that small mission school in 1906? Was Clara the victim of a severe, undiagnosed mental or neurological disorder, manifesting in a way that mimicked cultural beliefs about possession? Or was she, as the priests and witnesses believed, truly at the center of a supernatural battle for her soul? The case remains one of the most well-documented accounts of alleged possession in modern history. The sheer number of witnesses, including skeptical doctors and educated teachers, makes it difficult to dismiss as mere hysteria or fabrication. Medical science might point to dissociative identity disorder or a rare form of epilepsy, but can that truly explain the levitation, the knowledge of unlearned languages, or the superhuman strength? The story of Clara Germana Cele leaves us with an unsettling question, one that sits at the uncomfortable crossroads of faith and science, of the known and the unknowable. The records exist, the testimonies were given, but the truth remains just out of reach, shrouded in the shadows of a 100-year-old mystery. Thanks for watching, and if you find these stories fascinating, be sure to follow our channel for more explorations into the unknown.